Genius, get onto my show.
So you left in the middle of your studies.
I left after 2 years on a 3-year MFA.
Okay.
If I do kick myself about something,
was doing that.
I should have just sucked it up and finished the degree.
Okay.
But when you're in your 20s, you don't think that way.
You get your whole life ahead of you.
Well, so you think, and
that's right.
and you do,
Yeah,
but
kind of.
But what really what a dumb thing to do. I think that was not very. I just wasn't thinking.
Okay.
So I left there. I went to USC almost immediately.
Okay.
I was kind of recruited by a fellow named Bill Triplett. He was a darling man. And he was running pretty much the music education department at USC. So he recruited me into music ed major as a master's. I did a year on that and thought, I still don't think this is quite right.
Wow.
Left SC after a year and just continued teaching. Which had gone from part-time to full-time.
You were teaching voice or piano?
No, this was at Holy Family High.
Yeah, what were you teaching
there?
Sorry.
I had choirs. I had 3 choirs, 4 choirs, excuse me. 4 choirs. I taught history and English.
Wow, full-time.
They had me, they kept me quite busy, and we really had a good time.
Okay.
And then I finally decided after 5 years, at that point, I decided to go ahead and go back to school and get a master's in vocal performance. And that was a successful
And that was at USC?
venture. That was at USC, and I did my 2 years and came out with an MM.
And on top of teaching during that time, were you singing? Were you gigging? Were you gigging around town, or how?
What was I doing then?
Were you? I mean, were you? You must have been exercising your voice.
Well, sure, of course. I mean, I was singing church. I used to sing at St. Charles Borromeo, and I did a lot of weddings and a lot of funerals there, and like
what
that.
We all do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I gigged. I wasn't gigging a ton at that point. What kind of changed that in 1990? So I'm halfway through my master's degree. And Roger Wagner recruited me to the Roger Wagner Chorale, and I went on his final tour to Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, which was great fun, and caught holy hell from Margaret Shaper, who was then head of the voice department at SC.
Because you're doing it
I was
again.
going to be gone for 6 weeks.
Right.
I mean, I now as a teacher, a million years later, I understand the annoyance of that. But I have to say, because she was so hard on me and was basically awful about it. She was awful about it. Of course, it's funny. Margaret, for some reason, disliked me from day one. She opposed my entrance into the vocal program. She was outvoiced by Michael Sells and Charles Rowe, who just said, "Are you nuts?"
What was that about?
I don't
some
know.
Kind of jealousy, maybe?
No,
or nothing like that?
No, I don't think so, no. I think it was just kind of this old school... Well, you didn't get your bachelor's in vocal performance.
I see. I
think that was her thing.
So she couldn't reconcile it.
She couldn't, in her mind, she just couldn't. My very first day at USC, I love this story. So we're in class, and you had to take, I think it was vocal repertoire or something, I don't remember, with Margaret. And... she's going around the class because she says, well, in 3 weeks, you're all going to have to sing for the class, do. She's going around and, what aria are you going to sing? What, do. She gets to me and she says, oh, I guess you'll have to choose something from the Book of 24.
Oh, the old yellow book.
And I was just like, really? And I smiled and I said, well, of course, if that's what you want me to do.
Yeah, I can sing
something from that. I said, but, I'd prefer to sing a Mahler art song. Growls at me. And, so that was kind of how it started.
Strange.
She begrudgingly had to give me an A in that class because...
You didn't give her a choice.
Because I didn't give her a choice. And so it was the following year when Roger invited me to come on tour. And again, other instructors had to fight the battle for me, basically.
So you had some champions.
I did. Yeah. I had Michael Sells and Charles Rowe were wonderful champions. And at that point, my second year, Judy Nautalucci had come on board, and I had switched in the summer in between the 2 years. I was coaching with Armin Guzalimian.
Sure.
And Armin says, you should really be studying with this woman, Judy Nautalucci. And I was like, what? And before I could say anything, we're standing in his kitchen, and he picks up his phone, and he calls this woman, and he goes, Judy Armin. And he looks at me and goes, here. And he thrusts the phone at me. And I'm like, oh, my God, what are you doing to me?